President Cyril Ramaphosa has hit back at reports that a corruption complaint over a dubious tender has been made against him at the Sandton police station. The Star newspaper reported this week that the Free State Education Department awarded the tender to Ramaphosa's former company, Shanduka, to build schools. Joining us now is ANC Presidency Head, Sibongile Besani. Mr. Besani, good evening, and thank you so much for your time tonight. Before we get into what we need to talk about, I'd like to just really get your reaction to this burglary at the State Capture Commission of Inquiry's offices.
Good evening and thanks for having me. I think it is one of those unfortunate and very bad or sort of a sad news that a commission of inquiry that looks deep into the road that has been gripping the country, and that shows how far is the road also, and we believe that the commission will still be able to salvage the whole investigation and so on. It's sad, it's unacceptable, and we hope that the investigation into the matter will be expedited quite quickly.
And let's then talk about the story in the Star newspaper. There's a whole lot of suggestions around a school, a tender, around the president, and now we're hearing that a case has also been opened at the Sandton police station. Let's just begin with the fact that obviously the presidency put out a statement last night to say that this is not true, and we also received another statement from the Free State Education Department saying the same, to say that this is not the case. But now, if this is not the case and the president is denying these allegations, what is he going to do about it?
No, I think what we need to understand is that in the statement of the president is that this relationship comes a long way. It's a relationship that started in around 2002, and that partnership was always intended to empower and young learners into the process of education. So it is unfortunate that other people saw this fit to open up a case, but I think with time, the president has actually indicated that with time these matters will actually come to the open. And what South Africans need to know is that this was never a secret sort of a partnership with the Free State government. It involved Kagiso Trust, it involved Shanduka, which became Cyril Ramaphosa Foundation later. So, and that partnership has added value to many learners in the Free State. And we want to believe that it's been clear to everybody that Shanduka, as president has said, is not involved into it's not a construction company, has always been a non-profit making organization, which is now Cyril Ramaphosa Foundation. So a case has been opened. The president has indicated, and ourselves, that the details of the case are not known, but what that partnership entails is there, explained by the president. And in fact, I will invite many South Africans to go to, I think it's an advertorial around November by the Free State government, which is elaborate on the kind of relationship that the Free State government with Kagiso and Shanduka had, that kind of partnership, and what has been its value and its achievements.
Now, when then one looks at the fact that there's now a case here, whether or not the president is aware of the details, is he going to then subject himself to this particular process? Should he then need to come to the police station and clarify? Because it's one thing to release a statement to try and obviously clarify how things are going, but it's another to then be part of a legal process.
No, we want to believe that the process of law will actually unfold. If you open a case against me at the police station, the police will have to investigate, and if they feel that there is a case for one to answer, they will actually approach the person who has to answer or charge him and so on. So we think that process will unfold. The president has always indicated many a times that he is not above the law. If the law has to make him answer questions, he will not be treated any differently. So the process of the law, which is there for people to know, will actually unfold as per our laws.
And I know we don't have a lot of time, but certainly we are going to be watching developments there as to what exactly happened in that particular story. But I also want us to look into another issue while I still have you here. We have been seeing in recent days, the leaking of audio We saw the DSG also being very upset in one interview about, the fact that audio was leaked, and then we also, saw another leaking of the president's audio. When you look at this particular, style that is apparently now starting to emerge, what does it do then for the debate and the meetings of the ANC? Because certainly it does look like these leaks are not about to stop.
Well, they may not be about to stop, but as you would know, that the ANC is undergoing a process of unity and renewal, and that process is not smooth, and part of the leaking of this kind of information is to stall, to impede, that kind of process. We believe that the ANC will be able to adapt its meetings in such a way that information that gets discussed in meetings of the ANC is actually handled and managed accordingly. So it is embarrassing, but at the same time, we understand that the process that we are undertaking is a process that is very painful.
And let's talk then about, obviously, as much as it's a painful process of renewal, as you say, and you say that this is a process of unity, but certainly there are mixed messages that are coming from, senior members of the ANC. We're seeing the step aside even issue now. There's also been a concern around KZN and the fact that it looks like the scope is now being widened. And we then saw that letter that then went to the provinces, and the provinces then are coming out to say, but this is not what the NEC has agreed upon. And certainly, when you look at this mixed messaging that is coming from the leadership of the ANC, what does an ordinary ANC member take away from that? Because it looks like this unity that the ANC would like to believe it's trying to implement is really not a reality.
No, unity is a reality, but it is a process. We have conference resolutions that must be implemented. The NEC, in between conferences, is actually constitutionally allowed to put up guidelines and processes to ensure that the ANC implements its decisions properly. And in this instance, the NEC has looked at all conference resolutions and it is processing them. Part of that resolution is in dealing with corruption, in dealing with corruption and reclaiming the decorum of the ANC, is that in its wisdom, the NEC resolved that let us look at people who are charged by the courts of law and develop guidelines and insofar as to how we should manage that. And that is where we are. And any other resolution will also flow, or any other guideline will also flow from the resolutions of the conference.
But do you concede, though, that, discipline appears to have broken down in that particular
Look, in our diagnostic report, we've considered long time. That is why that diagnostic report was very open about the degeneration of discipline and so on. And President Cyril Ramaphosa has been hard at work to call for unity and renewal, not only by word, but also in action. And part of that renewal process has been to actually adopt a resolution around the establishment of the what we call Zondo Commission today. It's a painful process. Some of the things that we don't want to hear about the ANC, we hear about them, and but it is part of renewal. So we were pained by that, but at the same time we're inspired by the fact that the ANC is in a process of reclaiming its discipline, reclaiming its values, reclaiming its integrity.
Now, when then you look at what you're saying is that it's reclaiming, you talk about this diagnostic report, of course it was public, but it looks like the ANC is battling with this issue of discipline, and it looks like there isn't even, a leader, if I can even put it that way. It looks like everybody's just speaking and saying whatever it is that they want to say, because in the public domain, you even have branches that are even confused. And looking at what happened in Mpumalanga recently, it's just an indication of just how the members themselves on the ground are looking at this process and even saying that it doesn't look like anything is going right. How then are you going to begin to fix? Because this organization doesn't look like it has a leader.
For an example, no, the organization has got a leadership, but we are an organization that exists within a constitutional democracy. Therefore, issues of process are very important. Now, in an instance, for instance, of Mpumalanga, the ANC has established a task team to really deal with issues of violence, because we don't want an instance where our meetings, are platforms of violence, are platforms of intimidation, we don't want such. So there's a lot of work that is taking place. If you look at people who are all over, there are a few. If you were to look at the more than 4,500 branches that the ANC has throughout the country, it's less than 50 branches or so. They are just a drop. There are few. It's just that they are making noise. So, for an example, even the last 2 weeks, we planned close to about 121 branch general meetings, BBGAMs. Now, out of those, 119 of them were successful, and only 1 or 2 we got this kind of sad experiences of violence. We're not saying that is nothing to talk about, but we want to indicate that in as much as there are these challenges, but the majority of branches are beginning to ensure that the ANC membership, the ANC platforms are conducted with decorum and the discipline they actually deserve.
Would you say then that, when one looks at the Office of the Secretary General, that is one person that is tasked with ensuring that the image of the party is intact, the decisions of the party are then carried through, but we have seen quite a lot coming out from that particular office, seen as a deviation from a position of the ANC, even case in point, that letter that then gets sent to the branches themselves, which seems to be widening the scope of what the NEC had agreed to. Would you say the SG is a law unto himself?
No, we wouldn't say the SG is a law unto himself. We think we may be at variance on issues of interpreting the resolutions. But what is important is that there are conference resolutions. The SG is tasked with the duty of implementing them or kickstarting a process of implementing them. Now, if the SG refers to a conference resolution, there's nothing wrong with that. However, all that we are saying is that there is a decision of the NEC that deals with a specific category of people, and that decision has been translated into guidelines on specific matter, on specific category of people, and that is what will be implemented.
And, just before I let you go, I'm almost out of time. Let's talk then about the elections. I mean, the president did make somewhat of an unofficial announcement that the elections are coming, and we saw quite a lot coming up around there. But let's talk about the party going into the election. How difficult will campaigning be, particularly looking at the state of the ANC currently?
Look, campaigning itself has never been easy. And obviously, it's not going to be easy under circumstances where we are not at our best as an organization. But we have seen that South Africans become inspired into the ANC when the ANC genuinely, sincerely deals with the challenges. So on that score, we think we're making a case for South Africans to support the ANC, and South Africans are following suit. If we were to use the barometer of the by-elections, then it's very clear that under the stewardship of Cyril Ramaphosa, the collective and so on, of the NEC, we are on the right direction, and South Africans will continue to support ANC. But it's not what you call a blank check. We've got to work harder.
All right. Mr. Besani, thank you so much for your time tonight. We certainly wish we had more time. That's ANC Presidency Head, Sibongile Besani. Let's take